Hello, everyone. My name is Yongkang. I'm a lead cloud native SE of Custom by Veeam. I'm based in Singapore. I'm primarily supporting Asia Pacific region. I'm very proud of I'm certified 35 times multi-cloud, including CKA, CK8d, and CKS. Today's topic, it's kind of like an advanced topic, how to migrate containers from Red Hat OpenShift 4.7 to 4.8. Let's get started. So here is my demo setup or lab preparations. So to be able to migrate from 4.7 to 4.8, you need to build an OpenShift cluster 4.7. In this case, my OCP1, it's running 4.7 and also comes with Postgresql pre-installed. If you don't have a OpenShift cluster, I got the YouTube video to walk you through how to build a OCP cluster via the web console. And secondly, I need to have an OpenShift cluster running on version 4.8. In this case, my OCP2. I also have a sample database MongoDB installed. If you don't have an OCP cluster, you can follow this link via automation. We're going to create an OCP cluster and also comes with MongoDB, etc. Okay, obviously, to be able to migrate from one cluster to the other, you need to have the right tools installed. In this case, I was using the #1 Kubernetes Backup, the application mobility tool, custom K10, that's a product name. You need to have K10 installer and also configured from both of the cluster, OCP1 and OCP2. If you are, for the purpose of this demo, it's more focusing on how to quickly migrate containers from one cluster to the other. I'm not going to talk about too much details, how to configure backup policy, etc. So if you're interested to say how to install custom K10, how to configure backup policy, etc., I got 2 YouTube videos to show you how to backup OpenShift containers in 3 minutes. Backup ocp.yongkang.cloud. And the other one is 3 minutes to backup ROSA. That's Red Hat OpenShift OpenShift service on AWS Cloud. Backup ROSA, also about 3 minutes. And we're going to complete the backups, including install custom K10, etc. Last but not least, you need to have a common S3 bucket to be able to transfer the data from one cluster to the other. But the S3 bucket should be able to access by both of the K10 instances. Okay, let's get started. Yeah, before I go the live demo, let's just verify the cluster. Okay, let me jump to the web console. So I got 2 groups of the from my Chrome browser. The OCP one, that's my OpenShift cluster 1. As you can see from the screen, the cluster name violet-cluster-new, and it is running 4.8.22, and it's a 6-node OpenShift cluster. And on the right-hand side, the OCP2, I got a 4-node cluster. It's called OCP for Yongkang. Right now, I got a 4-node cluster. It's running 4.7. Okay, I'm actually missed out. Yeah, suppose this one should be called OCP1. Okay, I was running from this cluster. Hold on 1 second. So this is running 4.7, and my OCP1 actually running 4.8. So we're going to migrate from actually, I should correct the wording. I'm actually migrating Postgresql from version 4.8 to my secondary cluster running 4.7. Okay, so it is kind of like from the higher version migrate to the lower version. The use case is I give you an example. The other day I was talking to one of the customers. They build their testing dev environment on the high version. Their production environment is in the a little bit lower version. That's why it is useful. You want to migrate from the higher version to the lower version. Okay, that's my cluster setup of My cluster 1 running 4.8, a 6-node cluster. My cluster 2 running 4.7, 4-node cluster. And if I go to OpenShift Web Console, my first cluster, if I do on the projects, do a search by K10 dash, you can see I got a PostgreSQL database running from my cluster 1, okay? If I do the same search from the cluster 2, you can see I got a MongoDB. If I do a search K10, I don't have a PostgreSQL. I want to migrate from the other cluster to this particular cluster, okay? And also I got my custom K10 installed already. And left side, I got a 98 applications. If I click 98 applications, similarly, if I do a search K10, I only have PostgreSQL. And on the right-hand side, I got 65 applications. This is the moment you actually deploy a new application, custom K10 will be automatically discover the new application. Here, do a similar search, K10, I only have MongoDB. Okay, let me come back to my slide deck. Here, the live demo, which I'm going to show you is how you can magically migrate PostgreSQL database from OCP1 to OCP2, just need about 3 minutes. So there are 2 major steps. So first step, I need to configure backup policy for my source cluster 1, in this case, a violet cluster new. And I need to create a location profile to use the S3 bucket. So I will be using the K10 migration for Yongkang. That's my S3 bucket. And I need to configure backup policy to back up a PostgreSQL from our OpenShift cluster 1. Let me change this. This cluster is running 4.8 and I want to migrate 4.7, okay? And optionally, you can migrate from 4.7 to 4.8. Sorry for the mistake, let me come back. So first of all, create a backup policy, create a location profile, run the backup on source cluster running 4.8, and I exported the data to IBM Cloud Object Storage. It can be any S3 compatible. In this case, I was building the OpenShift cluster on IBM Cloud, so it makes it easier for me to just use IBM Cloud Object Storage. And the second step is from my target cluster, in this case, my OCP for Yongkang, also running on IBM Cloud. So I need to configure import policy from the target cluster too. So first of all, you need to use the common S3 bucket. That's where you can read the data from your source cluster. So I will create a location profile from my target cluster as well. And I will use the same storage bucket. And now I need to create an import policy to import the PostgreSQL backup data from the S3 bucket. And after the import, I need to restore my PostgreSQL application from my target cluster 2. So basically, that's the high level 2 steps. The first step is one policy. The second step, also another policy. And basically, in about 3 minutes, the PostgreSQL will be up running on my OCP2, my secondary target Kubernetes cluster. Optionally, if you want, similar steps, you can configure to migrate MongoDB from my OCP2, which is running 4.7, to the OCP1, which is running 4.8, also in about 3 minutes. Okay, before let me actually log into my console. Let me show you. So from my first cluster, this is my first cluster here. What I can do is, remember, we need to create from the settings. I need to create a location profile to use a common storage bucket. In this case, you can either configure from here or use the automation. So I'm going to show you how to configure new profile from the web console. So click new profile, you give it the profile name. In this case, you can choose any one of the public cloud storage, or if it's not listed here, you can choose any S3 compatible. For IBM Cloud, it's also using S3 compatible. You need to provide the details about the access key, your secret key. your endpoint and your region, your bucket name, and then click save. We will create a location profile. Okay, for the purpose of this demo, I don't want to expose my secret key access key. So let me create the bucket from the command line. Remember, from your source cluster, let me just run this automation script. So I will create a migration cloud object storage location profile from my source cluster. In this case, it was running on the OpenShift 4.7. Okay, so shortly, as part of the scripting, we actually create a cloud object storage profile secretly, and then create an object storage profile. If I come back to the slide, to the web console, do a refresh, you can see my storage location profile already being created. Okay, this is a new storage location profile. As I said earlier, my bucket name, K10 Migration for Yongkang. Now, I will walk you through how to configure backup policy. I need to configure backup policy for the Postgresql database. Not only do a snapshot based on the OpenShift container storage. In this case, I was using OCS, but you can use any CSI supported storage as your container storage. So go back to the dashboard. Under the policies, I can create a new policy here. Let's say create a new policy and give a name, choose your snapshot type, action type. You can define how often you want to do the snapshot. You can configure retention settings. You can choose advanced options here. You can make it every 5 minutes, and make sure you enable backup advice snapshot exports. And in this case, I will choose the migration location profile. Okay. Again, I don't want to create the policy. It's so easy, so simple to create from the UI. And you just follow the screen, fill out all the required fields, and then press the create policy. We will create the policy. I'm actually also go to create a policy from the command line, makes it easier. So the policy is called OCP to OCP Migration, Postgresql migration policy. I just created the policy here by running this command here. So not only I'm going to create the backup policy, so I remember I'm also from the command line, I will kick off the on-demand backup jobs. Okay, once this job is finished, let me come back to the web console. If I do a refresh here, you can see my new policy already been created, OCP to OCP Postgresql Backup. So the backup, if I do an edit, you can see I configured the backup. I enabled backup advice snapshot export. In this case, export to my IBM course 1-migration. So come back to the dashboard, you can see my backup jobs are actually already kicked off. So we need to wait till the job finish. But while we're waiting for the job finish, remember in my target cluster, and this is my target OCP2, in my target cluster, I also need to create a location profile to be able to read from the K10 migration for Yong, that particular storage bucket. So similarly, I don't want to expose my secret key access key from the UI, but it's very easy, very simple. If I click a new profile, it's not in the list, just choose S3 compatible access key, secret key, etc. I just create from the command line, okay? So again, from the right side of the VS Code, just to confirm if I'm running in the same, so I need to make sure I'm running from the right cluster. Let me verify the nodes. So remember in my target cluster, I should have only 4 nodes. Just to confirm I'm on the right cluster. Yes, I'm on the right cluster. Now I'm running the same location profile. I will create the location profile from my target cluster. Let me create the location profile. So now the location profile also being successfully created. Do a refresh from my web console. This is from my target cluster custom K10 web console. You can see from the link from the URL, it shows OCP for Yongkang. Okay, so by now, let me come back to my first cluster, my custom K10 web console. Let's see. Yeah, the backup job already finished successfully, but we need to wait the export, which is a copy, the snapshot from the container storage to the object storage. We need to wait the export job finish before we can do the migration or import, okay? So while we're waiting, let me actually just highlight a few typical use case about the application mobility or data container migration or container migrate containers. So here are the typical use case. Customers are using application mobility or container migration. So there are a few use cases here. You might want to enable cross-cloud portability or migration of your application between different Kubernetes cluster. It doesn't have to be both of them running OpenShift. It can be any of the supported Kubernetes distributions. So as long as it is supporting, it is compatible with the upstream Kubernetes distribution. Okay, you can keep some applications and the environment running on-premise, so are running others in the cloud provider. That's another use case. And also you can migrate between public or private Kubernetes deployments very efficiently with the magic tools, with the right tools. And also we allow it to easily to support in cluster upgrade or maintenance. You can provide the planning and understanding of the Kubernetes upgrade by migrating applications predictably to an upgraded cluster. So you just build an empty cluster, maybe running 1.21, for example, but you want to migrate to the older cluster, maybe from 1.18 or 1.19 to the new cluster. So here are the major use cases for your cluster upgrade, for your application transformations, for your test dev cluster. Could be migrate from a test to dev and to the production, etc. Okay, come back to the slide deck. Let's confirm. Yeah, the backup finish. If I click the job details, you can see not only the first job backup all completed successfully, and also export job also completed successfully. Now we can come back to the target cluster to do the migration. So before I go to the target cluster, let me take a copy of the token code. From the source cluster, under the policy settings, there is a show import details. So I click show import details, a copy to token to the clipboard, and then I come to the target cluster on my OpenShift OCP for Yongkang. This is my target cluster. I only have one backup policy. Now I need to create another policy. The initial policy, since I was running MongoDB, that's why I got the initial backup policy for MongoDB. Now I want to migrate this application to my target cluster. But before I create the policy, just to double confirm, from applications tab, if I do a K10 search, I only have MongoDB. I will migrate Postgresql to this particular cluster, okay? So create a new policy. Let's name this policy, say, OCP to OCP Postgresql migration, okay? So I choose import because it's not doing the snapshot backup jobs, it's doing import. I want to import the data from OpenShift cluster 1 to my target cluster, okay? So I can make it hourly, I can make it daily, or maybe every 5 minutes. And paste the token code here. It discovered your migration bucket. It's my IBM course 1-migration. So this is just the import data, but I need my Postgresql database application containers is up running. So I need to enable this option here. So enable after import, that's it. That's how we create the import policy to enable the restore. But if you want to create the policy from a command line, you can click YAML file here. Actually, just make a copy of the YAML file. And then from the command line, you can create the policy from a command line. Okay, for now, let me just click create policy. I got the policy created. It will import the data from a source cluster every hour based on my settings, but I don't want to wait next scheduled job. I just click run once. After click run policy, I confirm, and from the dashboard, you can monitor the status. Or if you prefer, you can monitor actually from our OpenShift web console. And also you can monitor from the command line. This is my target cluster, right? And I can run this command, OpenShift get port status K10 Postgresql -w to watch the status. Okay. So while I'm waiting for the status here, I can also monitor from OpenShift. Okay, actually right now, did you guys see the new project K10 Postgresql just created a few seconds ago? Okay, and yeah, this is originally I only have K10 MongoDB. Now I got a K10 Postgresql. And if I check the port status from here, you can also monitor my K10 Postgresql. It was empty earlier, but now a few seconds ago, custom K10, we launched a container called affinity-port-0, and now we are restoring the data. The container is creating, the restoring is happening. But from the UI, it's not a refresh that frequently. I believe it's only refresh every minute. If you want to monitor the status, you can come back to the VS Code. You can monitor here. It was here is the progress. It was initially custom K10. We launched the affinity port, and then followed by container creating, container is running and terminating that temporary port, and then we're restoring the data. And now we're restoring the data. Okay, so that's the whole process. It is happening. Hopefully within a few seconds, it will be up and running. Okay, the restore container, it's up running already, but now we're waiting to bring up your actual production containers. Okay, and if I monitor from the web console, you can see now PostgreSQL container is creating. Okay, the container is creating right now. So it's almost there. Yeah, within a few more seconds, it should be up running. Not only up running, and also it will become ready status. If I click the container port details from the logs or events, you can monitor the details. If I click logs, you can monitor the log status. Thanks to OpenShift, make it easiest. Great visibility, great, actually it's already running. The database system is ready to accept the connections. That means the port is completely up running and ready. Yes, it is. It only take, let me come back to the command line VS Code. You can see it took 39 seconds to restore, to bring up the PostgreSQL containers. And if I want to, from our custom web console, you can also monitor the whole environment up running, including, this is the job details. We will do the import, it take 9 seconds. And we do the restore 2 minutes, 30 seconds, 2.5 minutes, the container is up running. If I come back to the dashboard, did you guys remember originally I only have 65 applications, now 66, because I got a new application just restored. If I do a K10 search now, originally I only have K10 MongoDB. Now I got a K10 PostgreSQL database. Okay, it's already completed successfully, and it is up running. If you want, I already showed you from OpenShift web console. You can see my PostgreSQL database is already running from the command line. If you want to check it again, I can cancel this one. I just run a PostgreSQL, get the containers. You can monitor, you can confirm the container is up running. And you can see the container is up running, 2 minutes, 10 seconds ago. So, okay, yeah, that pretty much covers how to quickly to migrate PostgreSQL containers from my OpenShift 1 to OpenShift 2. And my OpenShift 1 cluster was running OpenShift version 4.8. My target cluster was running 4.7. Okay, that pretty much I want to show you guys how to easily to migrate containers between OpenShift cluster. If I come back to the slide deck here, I already highlighted why customer using application mobility, why the application mobility use case is so important. Cluster migration, cluster upgrade, maintenance, application transformation, or test dev clusters, etc. Okay, so a few reference links here. So the first one is a very good one. Customers provide the Kubernetes free training, and after the training, you can collect all these popular Kubernetes badges. It is very good one. Do spend some time to complete the labs. It is theory plus labs. It's very useful. Totally right now we got 4 labs available. Each lab, it only takes about 1 hour. Okay, it is worthwhile to spend time to learn. It's free. And the second one is custom documentations. That's our official documentation page. And a few additional links here if you are interested to know more about the automation. I got the Kubernetes automation. Right now, for Google Kubernetes engine cluster, 6 minutes, 1 command to build a GKE plus the Postgresql plus K10 Backup policy, etc. Only 6 minutes. Okay, Azure Cloud AKS cluster, you need 8 minutes to build a AKS plus MySQL plus K10 plus policy. And if you're very interested in AWS Cloud, it takes about 20 minutes doing similar thing, build an EKS cluster plus Cassandra database plus K10 plus policy. And the last one is on IBM Cloud. If OpenShift is your favorite Kubernetes distribution, you can build a OCP cluster plus OpenShift container storage plus MongoDB plus K10 plus policy, 45 minutes. So additional information, if you're interested. So from the, I'm actually very passionate about Kubernetes technologies, especially Kubernetes data management. I showed you how to build a popular Kubernetes cluster, including OpenShift, including ROSA, including VMware Tanzu Kubernetes Grid, including Alibaba Cloud Kubernetes cluster, including HP Ezmeral container platform. The second piece is about you already build a Kubernetes cluster, or you already have a running Kubernetes cluster, and how to back up the containers. Typically, you only need like 3 minutes to protect the containers running on ROSA, on OpenShift, on Alibaba Cloud Container Service for Kubernetes, on VMware TKG, on HP ECP. And how, if you're in last page, actually, I mentioned how to build and protect the Kubernetes cluster by the automation, EKS, AKS, ZK, OCP. And last but not least, if you're interested to how to migrate containers, I got an existing one from our Alibaba Cloud, how to migrate containers from on-premise Kubernetes to Alibaba Cloud ACK. And right now, I'm recording how to migrate from one OpenShift cluster to another OpenShift cluster, running from a different version. And it's from a higher version to the lower version. And more to come, I will create more additional videos. Okay, so let's learn multi-cloud and the Kubernetes together. So right now, I'm actually, I forgot to update. I'm already 35 times multi-cloud certified, including CKA, CKAD, and also CKS. If you are interested, follow me on LinkedIn. Let's learn together. Right now, I've got 8,900 plus followers. And follow me on Twitter. I'm not a big fan of Twitter. Right now, I only have 400 plus followers. And also, I have a Kubernetes data management group, which mainly focusing on the Kubernetes backup DR application mobility. Right now, 370 plus, followers. And if you are interested, sign up to subscribe to my Kubernetes data management YouTube channel. Right now, I got 210 plus subscribers. Yeah, that's all I want to cover for today. Very much appreciate your time. Thanks for watching, and I hope it is useful to you. If there is any suggestions or any comments, feel free to drop me an email. Thank you very much. Have a good one.